Welcome to Mad Props. We have an excellent show for you today. Dave Raymond, the pioneer of the Phillie Phanatic, Evolution of Happiness, is joining us today on the podcast. Welcome back. If you're new, welcome to the podcast. We're excited to have you here. There's been a lot of delays and a lot of different things, but we are finally back on the air, and I couldn't be more excited for it. We're going into a great interview. Dave was amazing. We had really good conversations. This is one of those interviews where I had a couple of notes about his career and stuff like that, but I just kind of went off the cuff because I knew I'd be able to talk with him. I knew that I would be able to come back with ideas because I have a tiny bit of a mascot brain, but also I love baseball. So it was just easy to go back and forth with him. And it was an amazing conversation. You're going to love the next 45 minutes after all of this. Before we get started, though, so Dave and I met because when I worked with Heart for Athletic, I was not a big part, but I was a part of the creation of Dylan, their mascot. And ever since I learned of his background, this is 2023. Ever since I learned of his background, I've always wanted him on this podcast. I don't think I've ever really reached out, though. I wanted to get Mad Props in a spot where it would make sense for him to come on. In the last couple of years, we've been in weird spots where we've had good guests, but also had the solo episodes. We had some direction and then we had no direction. I wanted to get us in a really good spot. So I've taken the last couple of months to put us in a really good spot. I know there was a offstage episode that came out, but really this is the restart of Mad Props. So I'm excited to have you guys on here. I'm not going to waste too much of your time. I want to get right to Dave, and I want him to talk all about his experiences, and his just amazing mindset behind being happy in the workplace, being happy in life, and what mascots can bring. So we will get to Dave right after this. Stay right there. This is Mad Props. This podcast is brought to you by Audible. I am someone that is unbelievably into audiobooks. I like reading, but I don't really have time to sit down with a book. When I'm on a run, when I'm on a plane, when I'm in the car, I just can't seem to get into music as much as I used to. Some stuff I can, but for the most part, I can't. That's where Audible comes in. If you have Audible, you could just find your favorite celebrity, your favorite athlete, or your favorite type of story, put it on in the car, and give it a good listen. Audible gives you as many books as your mind can read. Head to audibletrial.com/madpropspod to get 30 free days of Audible. That's audibletrial.com/madpropspod to get your 30-day free trial. Think of this. Christmas is coming up. Winter is coming up. Holidays are coming up. However you want to say it. It's going to start getting cold out. Even down here in the South, it's getting a little cold. You know, you turn on the fireplace TV with the really nice Christmas music, holiday music, however you want to say it. You get a nice little blanket, maybe a little cup of cocoa or coffee or whatever floats your boat, and you open up a nice book on Audible. Sit back, and you get to just relax and listen. You get to close your eyes. You don't have to have your eyes open. You have to strain yourself with your eyes being open and the LED lights or the sunlight just blasting you in the face. Maybe you are somewhere where it's snowing and the sun's reflection off the snow. Oh my goodness, I can't see. No. Put on your headphones, close your eyes, relax. It's holiday season, baby. Go ahead to audibletrial.com/madpropspod to get your 30-day free trial. I did just read Last Rites, Ozzy. If you want somewhere to start, man, that thing was amazing. audibletrial.com/madpropspod. Boom. All right, Dave, thank you so much for joining the show. Really appreciate you being here, coming to talk to us about. And I wore a Phillies type shirt. It was Billy Joel playing in Philadelphia to try to go for the occasion. I'm a Yankees fan, so I don't own anything else with Philly on it. But I thought I would make sure.
Yeah, well,
I had something
first
for
of all,
you.
I appreciate you doing that. That's nice, and there's a nice connection to Billy Joel too in my history as the original Fanatic. But I will tell you, in my speaker contract, you always have a rider. And we have fun with the rider because riders are, rock bands, destroyed the legitimacy of a rider. So we put in there as a joke, only blue M&Ms, shots of tequila in my dressing room, and I can't be within 20 feet of any Yankees fan because I may spontaneously combust. So I'm thrilled that we're actually remote today.
Yeah, so
'Cause
we're not.
otherwise
You're
your
actually.
expense would act your guest would actually explode. So,
Yes,
uh,
so we're
but that's
actually.
all good. That's all good. I hope you have a good story for being a Yankees fan.
From New York. Grew up in New York. A lot of my family were Yankees fans. My mom's side of the family, I should say, and that's really it. And then I just really like
So
the
you
team.
got good parents. You got good parents. Because if it was like one of those things, I was growing up in San Jose, and I saw the really cool, symbol for the hat, and I just had to be a Yankees fan. That would have been bad parenting.
Nope, nope. I was the hometown team. It's the first team I ever liked. Baseball is my number one sport. So I played it growing up and all this stuff. So Yankees have always been my favorite team. My dad is a Mets fan, but my mom and her side of the family was Yankees fans, and that's the one I took on to. It was easy when I was a kid as well because they were pretty damn good. So, you're a kid, they're good. Although when I was like that prime age of really getting into, because I didn't like sports when I was really young. So when I first started liking sports, the Mets weren't that bad either. They played each other in the World Series, so you could have gone either way. But I went with the Yankees, and I've been there ever since, and it's my favorite
Yes,
team. All that stuff.
the
But
excess of riches. The excess of
yes,
riches.
100%. But I did. It has the Phillies logo on it.
You
But I do love Billy Joel. I listen to him
Yeah,
almost
you're
every
all
day.
good. You're all good.
Almost
Well,
every
I'll have
single
to
day.
tell you that story when you get a chance to ask about the Fanatics' interaction with Billy Joel.
I will get to that, but I want to start with, we talked a little bit off air. I figure we take it on air. The way we kind of virtually met is I helped with Hartford Athletics creation of Dylan, their mascot. So I was in a lot of the meetings, and I did the like intro video for him. Like I scripted it and created that, and I created his accounts and all that stuff. So I started it in that way, and then Michael took over, and he did what he does. But I wanted to tell you this on air because I thought you'd really appreciate it. I created his signature. And if his signature has the antennas. So we were trying to figure out, like, what is the best signature? What is the best signature? And I'm the one that put the antennas on the signature to match Dylan. So I just want you to know
That's awesome.
I have that mascot brain a little
Good.
bit.
That's great. I had great struggles with the Phillie Phanatic. It was in the very early years. It was copyrighted, so you couldn't spell it Philly, which was faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to fill it out Phillie Phanatic, and then I had made a little smiley face, which remains in the signature today. But if you were in a line sitting down next to Pete Rose as the Phanatic signing his autograph, and he kept yelling at you to go faster when all he had to do was go like this.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit of a pain for the mascot when his name has some little detail in it. So because you can't just go like that. But I do appreciate the antenna because that was an important part of Dylan.
Yeah, it's something you got to have that unique. It is unfortunate because a lot of athletes, like I have some signatures behind me, and I worked with Austin Wells, the Yankees catcher, and his is like just an A. He just writes the letter A
Yeah.
and moves on to the next person. Like you can't do
They
that.
learn how to do that quickly. Yep.
Yeah.
They don't want to say, well, the ones that don't want to say no, which is nice.
Yeah, that is.
That the players realize how important a moment or two can be for somebody. Not all of them get it, but the ones that do get it have an easy signature because they can do a lot in a short period of time.
And it's funny if you're somebody that has to grade that or be like, yes, this is a real signature. That's got to be impossible. It's just like, it's just the letter A. Anyone could have wrote this. How do I know it was Austin Wells that did this? Or some people just have a line. It's just a scribble in a line.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you confirm that's actually the person? But
Just have to do enough of them.
yeah, I guess so. They'll look
If you do enough
consistent.
of them, and then they can confirm this is their actual signature.
So going back really quick, because you mentioned that came up, talking about the Phillies Phanatic signature and stuff like that. You are like the pioneer of the Phillie Phanatic. So can you tell us a little bit about pioneering the Phillie Phanatic and creating one of, if not the biggest mascot in the world?
Yeah, it was a wonderful connection of all kinds of forces, including enlightened leadership. And I really relate to Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell because there's all kinds of tentacles from that book that really were in play. The biggest one was I was a huge sports fan because my father was the head football coach at the University of Delaware for 36 years. He was coaching there for 50 years, and I wanted to be him. And he although he thought maybe I could be a good football coach, he was trying to make me aware that I wasn't going to stay at the same place for that long, and if I got into it, I'd be moving my family around. And he just happened to know the owners of the Phillies, the Carpenter family, who also were big supporters of Delaware football. And I got a summer job, worked for 76 and 77, and was so excited that I didn't want to be a football coach anymore if I could work for my Phillies. I mean, just think about it. If you could work for your Yankees and see a path back in the, in the 70s, there was a real path for interns to get senior jobs. I mean, I interned with Eddie Wade. He became the general manager. I became the mascot. We used to joke, and he said, "You got the better of the two." It was serendipitous, and I had a lot of skill sets I was not aware of, and until well after I was gone with the Phillies did I realize what, that skill set of nonverbal communication came from my mom, who was deaf. She went deaf when I was 3 years old. So all of the things just came together. It was wonderful. But the biggest reason why the Phanatic is successful today is because the organization has always cared for him as a living, breathing entity. We like to call him a living, breathing brand extension in the business of sports marketing, but I hadn't even figured that out yet. The Phillies cared. They thought, many thought it was a bad idea to create a green Muppet for the toughest sports fans in the world, but they're the toughest because they care too. So when you showed care for the character, the organization, even the fans, if they thought it was a bad idea, they realized how much the Phillies cared for it. And because of that, very quickly, the Phanatic became successful in a non-social media time where thousands of people would show up at the first few outside appearances, which we didn't even understand what that was. It was so long ago, and virtually everything that you see great characters and mascots do today are in part, the San Diego Chicken, who was not sponsored by the team, and the Phanatic really broke all that ground. Every time I see a mascot riding in some sort of a vehicle or mode of transportation other than their feet, it all came from the Phanatic getting his first three-wheeler back in those days. That was what Honda had that turned into the AV craze that remains today. So serendipitous, enlightened leadership, luck, timing, all of that came into play.
When you're doing stuff like having the three-wheeler to ride on and stuff like that, how do you even come up with ideas like that? Is that something you brainstorm and come together? Are you like, this could be really fun? Is it just kind of in the moment? Because that kind of stuff is what mascots do now, but then they weren't. There's only a few mascots to even speak of at that point.
Yeah, I think there's always two reasons for something that people may not understand. Like how is that working? It's either there's a lot of revenue involved from the idea that's working that even seems silly. Somebody's making a lot of money, or in this case, it was out of being able to successfully engage and entertain. Because walking and running, it was almost out of the question. Running in the character costumes because it was so hot. So when I went to a small Honda dealership that was opening up in Newark, Delaware, where I lived. My dad actually owned a small piece of it. His buddy was the one that created the idea and opened that cycle shop on Elkton Road just outside of Newark. And they wanted me to ride the new three-wheeler. They taught me how to ride it. And when I was done working that event, I thought, wow, this was great. I was able to go all over the road, up and down Main Street in Newark, and never broke a sweat. So I went to Bill Giles, the main enlightened leader behind all the success of the Phanatic, and I said, "Hey, this is really great. It will help me get to more places in the stadium." And he bought a new one right there on the spot. Didn't even worry about a sponsorship, which came shortly thereafter. Honda wanted to sponsor it because it was getting so much attention. So it was the access, and it was how much more easy it made me to engage the audience. So anything that from that point on could engage the audience, make it easier on me physically, we got it done. When you have the two of those, then you throw in a sponsorship, then it was driving revenue as well.
Yep. And once that sponsor kicks in, doesn't matter what you're doing, they want it. They want that
Yeah,
money. They
and
want the
that's where
money
the
coming in.
money yeah, and that's where, I tell young performers all the time what their ask them what their job is first. The very first day of Mascot Boot Camp, "What's your job?" And they all talk about the important things, entertaining, um, connecting to kids, being out in the community so everybody could see you. All those were correct, but I finally the answer is because it makes money for the organization. Because they have to understand that while their skill and their talent in costume is really vital to success, if they're not figuring out a way to engage the audience and drive revenue and brand awareness, then they won't be around. So, surely being a fabulous performer will help you, but understanding the business side is what I try to get my performers to know because they all come in wide-eyed about, I'm going to be a great performer. I want to fly around the gym and I want to learn how to do gymnastics and dance. And all that is great, but they should also understand the business.
Not to take away from your class or anything, but do you kind of push like brand awareness more or partnership stuff more when you're talking to somebody that's trying to be a mascot performer? Like, are you like, hey, you should really make it so the brand stands out, or more like look for things that you could do that people want to kind of put money behind to bring money back to the thing? Or is it like a balance, really 50-50 of both?
Yeah, I think it's a balance, and I've learned so much. I kind of select my clients now because if they're reaching out to me, I can tell right away whether they have the ability to really develop a program that they care about. If somebody says, "Hey, I want to just get a costume, put somebody in it, have them stand in the street corner and spin a sign," just to give you to put it in that sort of context, I go, "We're not the right ones for you." I refer them to people who can, build Halloween costumes so when they come to me and say, "We really don't know how to do this well. This is gonna be one of our biggest marketing pushes as we roll out our brand or as we want to enhance our brand." Now I have interest. Then if the budget is there and they show care through, investing, then those are the people I accept. But truly what I've learned the most, Chris, is why the Fanatic was so valuable was that he connected emotionally to fans, and I've learned what that does not only to the happiness of the performer, but the happiness of people who are engaged. And really what I'm most proud of and what I'm most passionate about is to go out and do my keynote speech about building sustainable happiness. And it all comes from what the Fanatic was trying to teach me that I wasn't paying attention to until life got hard for me. And then even then, I thought I was lucky. So the work that I'm doing, yes, you have to care, and then the character has to care, and then you have to connect emotionally to the people who are your your target market clinically, but your fans broadly. And you have to do that. And the things that you do well with that character brand, if you embody those in how you are, that you care for others, you're kind, you are grateful for the things that you have, not what you're trying to acquire. These are the same things that a great character brand does seamlessly. But if you do that in your own life, positive psychology backs it up. You will be happier. And in terms of science, it's not being happier, it's building your well-being. So those are the things I'm passionate about, Chris. It's there's a direct connect to the work that I do in sports marketing. But I like to tell people I have the furry boats anchored in the harbor. I just haven't set them on fire yet. Because while I'm passionate about that, my true belief is I'm supposed to be here, and all the things that I've done in my career have put me in a position to talk to people about being happier. Because I believe two things: we're saving lives when we do that, and we're making the world a better place. And that's not hyperbole. As Joe Biden used to say, it's not hyperbole, it's truth. I believe that's what I'm fulfilling now. So I'm doing the work that people in sports and sports marketing and corporate marketing want to do if they care. And if they don't, that's fine because, my purpose is to explain how we all can be happier by taking lessons from why the Fanatic is so successful almost 50 years later.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes back to any job where they say if you're happy at your job, it's not like you're not even doing your job, right? If you enjoy what you do, you're never actually working. I mean, for me personally, the job I currently have, like, I love it so much, I don't feel like I'm working any day. It's never a drag to go in. So it's exactly what you're saying. Keeps everybody else happy around you as well, because it spreading positivity is just that. Like, if you're positive, it's going to go to other people. So with a mascot, that's what you want. And you notice with mascots as well, like, you want that from a mascot. You want the fans to connect to them and to see the face of the fanatic and get happy, because when a team is struggling, that's what a lot of teams lean on, is the excitement and happiness of the mascot. You see a lot of like expansion teams when they come in, like Gritty, for example, or when these teams come in, they have a mascot ready to go because there might be struggling times. But if they can brand that mascot, people rally around the mascot, you're still going to get that brand awareness you need, because people are just happy to see that, whether the team makes them happy or not. The mascot will always make them happy, so it's easy to
Yes.
brand yourself around that.
Yeah, I don't know if it would surprise anybody. Anybody that knows the Fanatic are from Philadelphia would not be surprised by this. But it is surprising to many who understand Philadelphia fans, the heartbeat, their passion. The Fanatic has never, ever been booed by Philadelphia fans,
That is
and not
very big
just Phillies fans,
accomplishment.
but it is. It's huge
They
because
booed Santa
booing is
Claus.
a rite of it's a rite of passage. No, they threw snowballs at Santa
Snowballs, yeah,
Claus.
right. Snowballs at Santa
Yeah,
Claus.
which
Snowballs at Santa Claus.
which is a trite old. We get frustrated when we hear people say that, and not at you, Chris, because you are like everybody else that's not from Philadelphia. You know what? On that day, Santa sucked, and he deserved to get pelted with snowballs. All right, he was drunk, he was dirty, and he wasn't even portly. Okay, so we're like, get out of here. You're a lousy Santa Claus. We see it. Everybody else sees it. You know it. And then we're going to boo you. And then if you still hang around, we're going to pelt you with snowballs. The point being that it is something that we hold true in Philadelphia. As much as we care for our teams and we want success, right? But success is one thing. But if you're not doing what either you're being paid to do or what we expect from you based on your credentials, and you don't show up and do that, we will let you know. And booing is an easy way to completely get you to understand that. And if an athlete can't handle that in this town, a lot of times they aren't here very long. They have to embrace the fact. I mean, I think Bryce Harper, at least with the way he talks, he says, look, I deserve to be booed when I'm not playing well. I make a lot of money. They have the right to do that. I'm booing myself too. I mean, when an athlete says that and then lives that, even if they don't perform, they know what's going to happen, but they keep their head up and they fight through it. And I think Bryce Harper is one of the people that we will forever love and appreciate here, just as Mike Schmidt didn't learn some of that until later in life, and he's a beloved figure and is celebrated for being the best third baseman to ever play the game. And I think that both sides of those stories are ones where athletes realize what they're getting, the benefit of what they're getting by being in Philadelphia. They just have to play hard and show up and do what we expect them to do.
Yeah, it's not like, because they say Philly's very hard because of the fans, and they say New York's very hard because of fans, media, all that. But they're two different things. Because when I think of Philly fans, I think of when Trey Turner was having his struggles, and they all cheered him on, and then immediately just went on a tear. Like, it's just they're passionate in a different way than any other fans. I don't hate Philly fans. Like, some New Yorkers don't like Philly. I don't hate Philly fans or anything like that. I love the game of baseball, so I actually very much appreciate Philly fans because they just bring a different atmosphere to baseball. They just bring a different atmosphere to the whole sport.
This is a great conversation for us to have because it's complicated. So I joke and say one of the reasons why the Philly fans are snarky is that we're insecure, because we're 2 hours north of the den of iniquity, and we're an hour and a half, north of, the city that runs our country.
Yes.
And so, that's the snarkiness, right? We can say a den of iniquity and the swamp, and we're trying to deflect.
Yeah.
But
Stuck in
what we
between.
truly want to do is we want to have 27 world championships. The beauty of New York fans, seriously, the beauty of New York fans. I've sat next to New York fans at the Sixers game back in the '80s when the Sixers were exceptional
Mhm.
and winning a world,
The
a world
finals,
championship
yeah.
in the finals against the Lakers finally, and beating the Celtics and being sent off by the Celtic fans saying beat LA. I mean, this is the beauty of great fandoms. So we want to have a team that can be secure. The opposite of what we are is New York. They're not insecure. I guess you could say that Mets fans are a little insecure. Jets fans are insecure. But they have the worst of it because they're in the city where
Yeah.
they've got another team that they compete with, who has all of that
All of the
security.
teams
So
do.
we,
I mean, look at the
if we're
Brooklyn
honest,
Nets.
yes, right, exactly. So again, excess of riches. You've got a town that has, even the state of New York has uh, an MLS soccer team,
Yep.
and New York City FC is the only soccer team, or if you want to do the European, only football team in the New York area,
The
so they
only
could
well,
own
there's
that.
2, not in the New York area, but the Red Bulls are, like, right on the cusp of being in New York City. They're in New Jersey,
Yes, but they're
obviously.
not.
I know,
They're not.
but I'm saying if you're talking about the area, they
Yeah,
could fight,
yeah, I
but
get it.
New
I
York
get.
NYCFC plays in Yankee Stadium, or they did, and
Yeah,
they took off
yeah,
from the second they started.
right. And they've got they already have some championship success.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point being, it is a complicated relationship. But when I'm honest with myself, I love being with uh, New York fans at an event because no one can be tougher on their people, their players, than New York fans, and they've got everything to back it up with. So I appreciate New York and the fans they have. I just am not fond of the city, and I'm not fond of all of the ammunition they have to make me feel bad. So, I, s- I deflect as anybody would. So, and I think that's part of the beauty of being like a Boston fan, a a a Philadelphia fan, a Mets fan. I mean, though I relate to those long struggling franchises who have broken through and won a championship. They beat the demons, literally and figuratively in Boston. They beat the demons, and then they've established a little foothold in championships, and that's really what a fan base want. If you're out in St. Louis, you don't have the complication of being so close to those successful rivals in like the Northeast is, and it's difficult to be a fan without insecurity living and breathing in Philadelphia. Now, we've had success, Super Bowls. We have had championships. They seemingly sometimes are few and far between. But in my case, I saw the Phillies go to 3 World Series, win 1, and then after I turned over the best friend of the Fanatic to my good friend Tom Burgoyne, they've won a World Series and been to 2 more. So it's getting to the point where we need to shed some of our snarky insecurity and walk into the realm of, hey, we've won before, we've been here before. Let's act like it.
Yeah. And
Maybe that will slowly change if we keep winning.
I mean, even in the last few years, Sixers, Phillies, Eagles, and have all been really good. Like, they all have been really, really good. Obviously, the Eagles winning the Super Bowl last year. Phillies are a contender every single year. The Sixers have had their up and downs with Joel Embiid, but they're always in the mix. They're always somewhere in the mix. So it's been a successful sports city, whether you count the championships or not, although they have won some. If you count them or not, that has been a successful sports city. I talk with people about this because this is gonna you're probably like, what? And I'll explain why in a second. But my basketball team is not the Knicks. It's actually the Orlando Magic because I have family in Orlando. It was like the first taste of basketball I got when I was young. Then they got Dwight Howard. I really liked Dwight Howard when I was a kid, and I just stuck with them. I've stuck with them through the 20 years of being terrible. So it's been a long time. Now they're better again, but I've stuck with them for a long time. But I tell people all the time, my favorite fan base that I'm a part of is the Orlando Magic. And it's kind of not in the realm you're talking about with the snarkiness, right? But the fandom is so tight knit because it's such a small market team. We just went to the game when they were here in Houston recently. Every time they come into wherever we're living, I just get I get like somewhere in the top 5 rows because we don't go to a bunch of games. Let's just spend on this one game, enjoy it, be nice and close, be in it. We'll be by the bench, so with all the Magic fans and stuff like that. And the play-by-play guy comes up. We have a conversation with him, and then Jalen Suggs walks up. We're having a conversation with him, and then one of the shooting coaches. They're just everybody's so connected, and everybody, all the other fans that because these guys travel all the games, so they know him. Like they call up, they're talking to him. We're talking to him. Oh yeah, this is Chris. He just came in. He's here. Blah blah blah. Now this guy's talking to me. I just love how connected that fan base is. I know the photographer. I know the social media person. Like no, you can't. First of all, if you as a Yankees fan, forget about it. You can barely get to know the fan sitting next to you unless there's a home run hit. Like they don't even want to talk to you. And then you go to I went to OKC and I was on a run and I like ran into the shooting coach and then he came to me after the game and took a photo with me. Like it's something you don't get in any other fan base and you just feel so connected with it. Their official podcast or unofficial official podcast. Like I'm good friends with the host of that. He invited us out to a game in April. You don't get that in other fan bases, and that's why I love because it's just so connected and so together.
It's funny, we have 6 degrees too. One of my very close friends and one of my mentors is Pat Williams, um, and maybe a little trivia that most people don't know, when Pat wanted to create a he was with the Sixers.
Okay.
He was the Sixers when they created Big Shot, and Big Shot, I think, still was the best mascot that the Sixers had. He went to Orlando and really was the force behind,
Stuff.
getting that franchise up. And he called me and said, "What should I do?" And I said, "Well, go talk to the people that created the Fanatic. It's going to be a big investment, but you're going to get a great character." And so he went and did that. And then he called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to come in and be the performer for stuff when we roll him out at Church Street Station?" And my boss at the Phillies, Dave Montgomery, at the time said, "Yeah, sure, go ahead, do that." And I went there, had an amazing time. It was Halloween, and the Fanatic I got that in my head. So stuff was real successful. The roll-up. Pat was just overwhelmed with how great it was and excited. I went back to the hotel room, and I said I was going to leave the costume in the hotel room. And Pat covers this great in Making Magic, his book about the creating. There's a whole chapter to this. I go to the brand new, I think it was the Renaissance Hotel. I can't remember. And I hung the costume up to dry when I was taking a shower on the fire extinguisher unit.
Oh no.
It popped open and flooded a floor and a half of that brand new hotel, ruined the costume. I jumped on a plane still with the black soot because I had no time to take a shower because my flight was leaving off the morning. Had to leave a voicemail message to Pat, which he has transcribed in his book, saying how I've ruined the costume. I'm sorry, he doesn't have to pay me for the performance. And of course, Pat in his wonderful way said, "David, you saw the heights of great success, followed by a crash down to the lowest of lows, all in one day. This is a life well lived." So I'll never forget my connection to Pat, and I am fond of the franchise for that very reason, because I was there at the very beginning. And Stuff continues to be a wonderful, cared for character all the years later. And Pat unfortunately passed away a few years ago, which was very, very a somber moment for me. But boy, oh boy, what a wonderful guy, and what wonderful things he's done for Orlando.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that book. That sounds very interesting for me. Didn't know it existed, but I love Stuff. I love what they
Making
do
Magic,
with them.
Pat Williams.
Making Magic, Pat Williams. I'm gonna link it below as well for anybody listening that might want to try to find it and go purchase it as well.
It's a great read.
But I love Stuff. I love what they've done with him. Like he is kind of the face. Like obviously some of the Palabancaro and stuff is the face of the basketball. But when you go do anything, when you're on the app, when you're on the page, when you're on anything, it's Stuff. And the things he does in game. So I have the NBA League Pass because this is how much I follow Orlando. I watch almost every game, and League Pass doesn't go to commercials. So you see the stunts he does, and I don't remember exactly what it was but or exactly what game it was, but he was doing one where he's trying to get people to get loud. It was towards the end of the game, and he has a sign that says "Get loud." And I'm like, oh yeah, this is like what they do. And he puts it the other way, "Get loud," and then he like does this one-handed handstand and puts it on his feet. I'm like, oh, that's super impressive. And then the platform starts going up, and he's going to the roof. I'm like, oh my god, like how that takes. People don't realize how much athleticism doing something like that takes. I was like, oh my god, he's going up in the platform. I mean, some of the stuff I see on game days from our mascot, it's crazy. Like,
Yeah,
it's
well,
nuts.
that's when you see that somebody cares. I mean, um, how should I say this? Oh, I should say that the Stuff has had a number of human best friends to take care of him, feed him, clean him, make sure he's looking good for every show. The current best friend's been there for quite a while, and let's put it this way, he's one of the best friends that Stuff could ever have, and he does an amazing job getting Stuff prepared and doing some of the things that you described. So they're lucky to have, and Stuff is lucky to have a great best friend.
Who are some of not to list off who you've helped create, but do you have any other stories like that with like going out and being that mascot to start? Like how many of those do you have, or what are some of the best ones you've ever done where you helped roll out the mascot?
Well, the one that I got in trouble for was also with Pat Williams before I realized that I needed to ask for permission. Because I was a full-time employee for the Phillies. They created, Big Shot, but they also created a little thin character, and he was yellow or yellowish. Yeah, he was yellow and thin, and I can't remember. It was Big Shot and ah, I've got my old man brain on. Maybe it'll come to me when I tell the story. But Pat said, "Look, we're thinking of jettisoning this other character. It's not getting the attention that Big Shot is, but we don't want to give up on him, and we'd really like to know why it works. So if you come in and just do one game for us, we'll know whether it's the person inside or it's the actual character." And so I went in and I did a game for him. I didn't ask for permission. I went around, did the whole game, and Pat was kind enough to tell me, "You were in the costume for 2 minutes." I'm like, "Okay, we don't even need to do this anymore." But now that he's here, I got in trouble because Dave Montgomery came to me and said, "I was watching on TV," and I called Pat the next day, say, "Was that Dave?" And he said, "Yeah, it was." And then David came and said, "You can't do that anymore." And so I went, "Okay, I appreciate that." And that's why later on, when Pat left, we went through the proper channels. But other than that, there's a number of birth videos I've done for my clients when the character is done being built at the studio. We bring him to life and show a little birth video. But, right now, Chris, I could give you a good 2 minutes in costume, and then I would need like a 24-hour break, which wouldn't be good for game day operations. So, I don't think I'd be good enough, fast enough so that they say, "Hey, that guy was really great. I hope to see him next game." So, physically, I keep myself in shape, but man, it's a crucible to do that, and to do anything in costume, let alone some of the things that you see great performers do today. So I still love getting in the air characters. Those are the shapes that you zip up. You got a fan and a battery, and it
Yeah.
sucks the air from the outside and fills whatever the shape is. I still like those and have fun. And frankly, when we do auditions, we use those. I guess they're $40 online. They look like human grapes. We use those rather than the costume because it strips down uh, any of the assets that a performer may have in a costume that they'll be getting into, but we just want to see what they can do somewhat on their own. So the air characters are fun. They're easy to perform in. They're a little less heat involved, and so I can do that. But truly, I'm focused on getting up on stage. I loved performing, and people used to ask me, "What do you miss about not being the Fanatic's best friend anymore?" And I always would say the fans. I don't miss the heat. I don't miss the extreme physical challenges. I just miss the fans. And what that really meant to me later was I missed the performance. So being on stage for a keynote, that my keynotes run between 45 and 50 minutes, and then there's usually a Q&A afterwards. And that is it's performing. I'm using the best nonverbal and the best verbal script writing that I can do. And then I'm moving people. I'm helping them be better. And I know, in my case, the Fanatic truly saved my life. That's a whole nother story, but that's what I talk about is what happened and why was the Fanatic my savior? What were the things that were baked inside of the green fur that was a superpower to help me from staying away from self-harm? And, this is happening around the world. So I get to perform. I have the best. I'm doing the things that make me happy, like you said. But on top of that, what makes me happy is to deliver a message that is helping people overcome the most horrific things that can happen to you in life, but also then understand the balance is when life is being good for you, you suck the marrow out of those times, that those realities that you balance between is where the good life and the Fanatic as a being, as a living, breathing being, he's showing what the good life feels like, that you're being kind, you're trying to engage and make others smile. You're grateful for the fact that you're able to be there with people that live and breathe the passion that you embody. All those things that the Fanatic does, and many great, only the greatest characters do this seamlessly, is they're showing people what they should be doing for other people in their lives. Try to take the focus off yourself, be kind to somebody else, make them smile. When you're smiling, whether you're faking it or not, it releases what we call happy hormones into your system, dopamine, serotonin. Um, these are things that you can easily do every day, but it requires practice. And so I get to perform and do all that, and so I feel like the best of the Fanatic comes out of me, and the best of Dave Raymond comes out of me together, and people walk away and say, "Hey, this is good information. I'm gonna do this," and that's what I love doing right now. I mean, it's a great business model too. I mean, speaking is a fabulous place to be as a solopreneur like I am, and you get to be in front of people who come and tell you that how much they appreciate what you've said. So right now, even though there's craziness in my life, there's people all around my connections that are struggling with all kinds of things, and I'm there to support them and help them and be happy, but know that those are coming for me too, and I'm going to have to be ready to be able to overcome them, and that's what my message is all about.
When you first decided to move on from being the performer, how long did it take you to get into the keynote speaking? Did you do it right away, or did it take you some time to kind of build up what you wanted to do and then get into that?
Yeah, I first had partners when I left the Phillies. We created a character called Sport, and all I did, and I performed 16 years for the Phillies, but another 12 years on top of that. Then that business that I created with partners morphed into Raymond Entertainment in 2000. I continued to perform because we created Reggie, who is now the Mascot Hall of Fame's character, spokes character. But it was when I was getting involved with some partners. They were creating a team building company called the Fun Department, and I started to realize what people at work needed. And in the case of what we did was we allowed them, with leadership approval, we allowed them to play during the workday, and we were proving to them that it was important for you to enjoy yourself at work. And this is one of the ways your leaders care about you. They're going to give you a break during times you're normally working, and you're just going to have fun. And we call that powerful fun. And when I started to communicate, when our clients said, "Well, you go tell our employees why we're doing this. You're the expert." And that's where this concept of powerful fun came from, the three elements of the FUN of powerful fun. And then sharing some of my most vulnerable times in my life added to that, to the depth of it and the heart of it. And so, the evolution of happiness and the power of fun, I've been speaking about it for about 13 years, but I've been treating it like a business really for the last 10 years. And so I'm fully formed. DaveRaymondSpeaks.com is where people can find out about how they can engage me, not only to deliver the keynote, but we have asynchronous online training right there. You can go in for $78. You can take an online happiness course that's open and ready to go at DaveRaymondSpeaks.com. And I will ask you, Chris, if you can figure out why we're charging $78, because if you are a Fanatic fan, you'll know why.
I am going to say that's when the Fanatic was birthed.
Yeah,
78.
you must have cheated. I didn't think a Yankees fan would ever get that. Now you're making You're making me like Yankee fans, Chris. I can't
Hey,
do
I
that.
told
So,
you in the
yeah,
very beginning, I have a little bit of the brain of the mascot. A little
good
bit.
for you. Well, bingo. So that's, that's what I'm doing. So we do live training, we do workshops to lead into training, and we have some great clients that have engaged us for 6 months or more to help their employees understand specifically how they can be happier wherever they wanna be. Enlightened leaders know that if you do that for your employees, you're showing great care. But from a business standpoint, you also are smart enough to know that if you have done something for your employees to be happier and they can decide where they want to be happier, they're going to come to work happier. They're going to be healthier, physically healthier. So, so the cost of healthcare isn't as high when your people are healthier, but they'll also be happier at work, which increases productivity. It holds on to retention. You keep your people longer, and you attract people to come work for you. So that's those are the business reasons why my message, why leaders bring me in, is that they're usually enlightened leaders. They know, hey, we have to continue to do things to make our people feel good when they come to work. And now I do that, but I also say, well, here's how you can be happy at home. So I've had people come back to me and say, you saved my marriage, because without these simple messages that I knew I could engage with my spouse, it really truly saved their marriage. We both believe that, and this is the feedback that we get and go, I get a little nervous because I feel like now I have to give a disclaimer, and we say, because we talk about suicidal ideation, you have to dial 988 or punch in 988 is the universal hotline to get help if you're thinking about self-harm. But the simplest way to save somebody who's in that challenge is to reach out to them and ask them how they're doing, and when they go, "I'm doing fine," say, "No, I'm really interested. How are you doing? I get the feeling you're not doing well." Just that conversation alone allows somebody to be vulnerable. And if you are feeling that way and you're thinking, "I can't tell anybody this," that's the time to tell somebody that you trust. So these aren't difficult things to understand, but they're very difficult in life to do and to activate. And what I'm trying to get people to learn is that they need to change their mindset so that they know that these simple things are really healthy, and you need to give yourself your own self care to practice them, because others around you will pick up on it.
So you can find that at daveraymondspeaks.com. You can find those courses, and you can find, is that how you can get you as the keynote speaker at places as well? As like all the
Yes.
contact will be there. Where else can people find you?
Well, RaymondEG.com is our sports marketing site. That's always there. And truly, when we are training mascots, we're teaching them the power of fun. So it's always been something we've developed for many, many years, but now it's in full practice at daveraymondspeaks.com. Um, I think the message it's universal, and it works anywhere and everywhere. So, I really am speaking to stressed leaders and frontline heroes. That's the simple way to describe who I talk to. And those frontline heroes could be SEPTA workers in Philadelphia, but they're also firefighters and teachers and doctors and nurses, the true first responders, the police, and I've spoken to the FBI. Very, very intimidated when I spoke to them, but when they were coming up to me and say, I was a first responder at 9/11. I wish I had heard this message just after that, because that's when I really needed this, but now I'm happy to have it. They're human beings, but, stressed leaders and stressed frontline heroes, that's really where my niche is. And some of your own employees could be frontline heroes too, whether they're working on an assembly line or whether they're working in customer service. Because people will say to me, "Dave, you know how hard my job is? Have you ever worked with people before?" And I go, "Yep, I know exactly what the struggle is."
One or two people. One or two
Yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah. And Chris, I really appreciate this opportunity, and I love this platform where anybody who's passionate can talk about what they're passionate about. And for me, this is a great extension of what sports does. It distracts us. Even when we're feeling bad, you go to a game, a competitive contest of you're rooting for a team, you forget your struggles, and I think that's a vital part of building your own happiness, is to really understand that it's up to you. So find something that's going to distract you, even in your moments of the most difficult times you're having. You got to get away from it somehow. Your brain needs a break. You need a break, and sports does a wonderful job at that.
Dave Raymond, Evolution of Happiness. The links will be in the description below if you want to go find them. Thank you so much for joining us.
Man, thank you, Chris. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Dave, so much for being here. That's DaveRaymondSpeaks.com. It's in the description below, so go check that out to get to see his work. And if you want to hire him or you want to see the Evolution of Happiness programs that he has, that is in the link below. Go ahead and go there to see more of him. You can also follow him on LinkedIn. He does a lot of posting on LinkedIn, so you can find him there as well. You can find me at Chris Schnabel, Schnabel on Instagram, Chris.Schnabel on TikTok, Chris.Schnabel on YouTube. You can find this podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. That's Spotify, Apple. I don't think Amazon exists for podcasts anymore, but anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find this podcast right here, Mad Props with Chris Schnabel or Mad Props Podcast. They'll pop up either way. You can follow us or subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're listening on YouTube right now, hit that subscribe button right now. Let's get more people subscribed to this thing. YouTube.com/MadPropsPod to go there and subscribe. You can also follow us on TikTok at Mad Props Pod on TikTok. Make sure this Friday you stick around on not this channel. You have to go to Sketching Up Pod on YouTube or Sketching Up Podcast on YouTube because there is a new episode coming out. It is all about the new Mario movie, our predictions, what we think of it, our opinions on the teaser that just dropped. That's coming this Friday, so you're not going to want to miss that. Go check that out. We'll put Sketching Up also in the description so you can go find it there. And it might be somewhere up top here. You'll have to take a look if you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, it's not going to be there. So, oh well. But you can check that out in the description below. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Dave, again for joining us. Can't wait for the next episode. I'm excited for you guys to listen to it. But until then, peace out. I'm Chris Schnabel. This is Mad Props. See you later.